Welcome to Creator Day with me, Louise Brogan, and today I want to talk to you about how to use LinkedIn for real people, as in LinkedIn that we all can use. So LinkedIn as a platform has had a lot of traffic coming to it, with over 1 billion people have now got registered accounts on LinkedIn, and a lot of people come to us because they have a couple of different feelings about LinkedIn. One of them might be like this: is this your current view of LinkedIn? It seems to be all AI and robots, and are those actually real people posting any content on there? Or you've posted your fabulous update on what's going on in your business and how you're helping people, and all you're getting back in return is automated messages that are pretty obviously written by AI. Well, today we want to flip that script. So one thing that you may have seen a lot of are these kinds of spam connection requests. You know, somebody you don't know, or they've connected with you, and then they instantly send you this message saying, would you like to come along to my free webinar? Or let me tell you all the things that are wrong with your current business and your current YouTube channel and how I can fix them. Oh, how appealing. No, thank you. Or maybe you're getting automated messages. So you connect with somebody, you feel like there's a good connection there, there's somebody who's of interest to you, but all of a sudden you start to receive lots of what look like really automated messages. Some of them have your name, Dear Louise, others don't. Others have a weird Dear insert person first name. So you know it's automated, and it really puts you off the whole platform, and you think, well, why am I even on here? Maybe you go to LinkedIn and you can like, oh, great, Louise, I can deal with the automated messages. I can deal with the spam guys. I'll just delete them. But actually, my news feed is putting me to sleep. I'm just not interested in anything that is showing up right now on LinkedIn. Well, let's change that, guys. Let's change that today. There is another way. If you approach LinkedIn like a real person and you build your network and connections as you would if you met people in real life, you will start to enjoy using LinkedIn. That is the promise I have for you today. It is time to flip the script. No more spamming, no more automation, and no more boring newsfeed for us guys. So I want you to take a moment now and think about what your next in-person event looks like, whether it is an online webinar, or maybe it is you're going along to a conference, you're going to an event, you're going to a networking morning, you're going to your local council's local networking morning, whatever it is. What does it look like, and how will you show up when you get there? Hopefully, if it has speakers, they're going to be talking about stuff that's relevant and interesting to you. There will be networking opportunities. So you've chosen this event because you know it's going to be full of people who are interesting to you. You're interested in what they have to say. Potentially there are people in your business network who are already going, and potentially there are people there who could become your next client or your next affiliate partner. Doesn't that sound appealing? But also, when you think about this event, you're going to go to the event and you're going to have conversations with people. And that is how I want you to think of LinkedIn, rather than going to LinkedIn and scrolling through the newsfeed and thinking there's nothing here of interest to me. I better post something so people know I'm active on LinkedIn, and then you leave again. It's like going to your networking event, handing out your flyers around the tables, having zero conversations, not listening to anything anyone's saying on stage, and leaving afterwards and thinking, well, that was a complete waste of my time. Let's not bother going there again. We're going to look at this differently. So let me tell you a little bit of a story. This is Lindsay. I met Lindsay when I went to Social Media Marketing World in San Diego in February earlier this year. It's a 3-day event, 2 days of speakers, and the first day is actually more of a workshop day, a networking day, and highly valuable event this year. I have to say, I really enjoyed it. But on the first morning, I went along and I got my pass, and I went and registered, and I walked in to a networking breakfast that I'd been invited to. So it was organised by the hosts of the event. It was for women who were attending the event, and I walked into the room and I sat down and I met Lindsay. And Lindsay and I got chatting. Turns out she is from San Diego, so she hadn't travelled very far. We had a bit of a conversation about how far I'd come from Northern Ireland. and what we were looking forward to at the event. And it turns out that Lindsay was actually there at the event as a sponsor of the event. So later that day, I'm walking down the hallway and I see all the sponsor booths, and there I spy Lindsay at her sponsor booth. So this is her sponsor booth. It's where I went and I met her again, had a brief chat. She introduced me to her colleague. I looked at some of the flyers and the brochures that they had, and we had a bit of a conversation about what their company did. How does that matter to LinkedIn? So on LinkedIn, Lindsay's personal profile is Lindsay at the event, connecting with people, having conversations, and just really chatting in the way that you would if you met her in person. And then when you get to know Lindsay and you think, well, I like this person, I like what she has to say, I like how she approaches business, and you would then go over and check out her company page, aka her sponsor booth at the conference. So when you think about LinkedIn, try and imagine it as being like attending your next industry event or conference. How do you approach that conference? What do you do in advance to prepare? You probably earmark who you want to connect with, who's going to be speaking. You're hoping to meet some business connections. You'll probably ask people about their business and their work, and hopefully as a result they'll ask you about your business and your work. Remember, always make it about the person you're talking to, and they will be so delighted with you that they will then ask you about your business and work. So the 4 pillars of using LinkedIn that I like to teach my clients are: number 1, your personal profile; number 2, building your network; number 3, sharing connections and conversations; and number 4 is building engagement and community on LinkedIn. We have got to start with your LinkedIn profile. So remember, when I met Lindsay, she didn't just show up at that conference and say, hey, I'm Lindsay, and sat down and started talking about the price of ice cream. She started talking about what she did. I asked her what she did, and she told me more about what she did and her products and services because I engaged her. So this is like someone going to your LinkedIn profile. What do they see? So this is the introductory card on your profile, and I want you to pay attention to it. So you've got your face, which is your profile photograph, preferably a recent up-to-date one, so you look like the person. If I met you in person, you look like the person in your photograph. Number 2, your background photograph, which is where you can put links to your website, and they're not clickable links at the moment, but your branding, let's move this over here, you'll see the branding, the logo, LinkedIn content and training for B2B, and a couple of photographs, one with me meeting the king and one with me sitting at a desk in Belfast City Centre. So it reflects who I am and what my business does. And underneath my name, you will see my headline, and it says LinkedIn Marketing for B2B, podcaster, small business champion, speaker. Your headline is really important on LinkedIn because it follows you about the platform. So when you are commenting on someone else's content, when you are messaging somebody, when you are joining a group, people will see your name, your photograph, and your headline. So make sure that they reflect who you are and what you want to be known for. And if I can give you a little tip here, don't include lots of verbs and words like the and they, because you're really wasting valuable space. These headlines are included in the algorithm search when someone is looking for whatever it is that you do. So don't make up a name. If you're like at work for a really cool startup, you might have something like Chief Lego Officer. Well, the thing is, no one's actually searching for that on LinkedIn. And when they're searching for something, you want it to be a phrase that someone's actually looking for, as opposed to a cool fancy title that you want to make up for yourself. So remember, think about this title as in helping you be found as well as standing out. Cool, funky titles that no one else would dream of are not really, this is just not the place for them. Okay. It also tells you the city that the person lives in and then the contact info. And if you click on that, go and check out your own contact info. It should have an up-to-date link to your website and your business email address. A lot of people have neglected this contact info button, and they will have their Gmail or Hotmail account, which does not look terribly professional to someone who's actually checking out your profile. It should also have your company logo over on the right hand side, and if you went to university or college, it should have that in there as well. But spend time filling out your entire LinkedIn profile. I have a whole playlist on this over on YouTube, on LinkedIn with Louise on YouTube. I think there's about 40 videos on the LinkedIn personal profile. Don't worry, you don't have to watch them all. But you do want to think about your introductory card, your about summary, your experience section, and your skills, and also try and get recommendations on your profile. Those are the key areas I would consider that you should really think about on your profile, and try and use keywords that people are looking for in that profile as well. All right, the second pillar is building a network of value. So what is a network of value? It's people who are interested in what you have to say. They are interesting to you. So when you go to LinkedIn and they've posted something, it's relevant to you and what you want to know about. So look at the other people who are speaking on Creator Day. If your thing is TikTok, then go and look at the other people who are attending the TikTok talks, commenting on them or talking about them online, and go and connect with those people, so that when you post something about TikTok on LinkedIn, those people are interested in what you have to say. In my network, I follow people who are podcasters, and I also follow people who share really good tips and advice on YouTube. Two things I'm interested in, as well as having people in my network who are potential collaborators and potential referral partners for me. So a lot of my business, probably nearly 95% of my business, comes through word of mouth. So there are people who find us through the YouTube channel and who come across me on podcasts, but generally the people who sign up to work with us are people who have been referred over to us, and that is coming from people who are in my network. So I show up on LinkedIn, I talk about how to use LinkedIn, my network engage with that content, and when someone asks them, how do you use LinkedIn for business, they're going to say, oh, you should go and talk to Louise Brogan, because they see me showing up and talking about that stuff, and because my network engages with me. So you can have an enormous network of 100, 200,000 people if that is what you want to do. However, a smaller network of people who are interested in what you're posting about, who engage with your content, and who share stuff you're interested in, not only makes LinkedIn a more interesting place to be, but it also means that you're much more likely to get business from a result of your activities on the platform. Your connections then. So as I said, having a network of value involves having really good connections. When you connect with somebody, try and send them a message. LinkedIn have cut this down a lot. So on the free LinkedIn accounts, you can only send a message with 5 invitations. However, you can send a message to anybody you are connected to. So if you connect with someone and they accept your connection request, you can then send them an actual message, not an automated one. But thanks for connecting with me. I saw you posted about XYZ. Thought that was really interesting. I'd love to hear more about your experience with that. Could be a perfect example of a connection message. If you have lots of people in your network that you've been connected to for decades, so maybe 15 years, maybe a bit of a push being decades, but you've been connected to them for a long time because you used to work in that industry or field, or you worked with them 10 years ago, it's okay to unfollow these people. I don't suggest you remove them from your network, but I do suggest you unfollow people whose content is not interesting to you anymore and it's not relevant to you anymore, so that when you do see content on LinkedIn, it's stuff that you actually find easy to engage with. And remember, your network's connections could be your ideal clients. So if you and I are connected and I'm posting something on LinkedIn and you comment on it, your network will also, a percentage of them will also see my posts, and they could be the ones who are interested in finding out more about our products and services. So don't discount your network's connections as well. Third pillar is conversations. So if we think back to our in-person event, and you walk in the door and you meet somebody new and you ask them about themselves and they start telling you about themselves. Now, what happens if they just talk on and on and on at you and don't actually ask you anything back? You probably are going to try and get an excuse to get away from them. But if you say you're in the coffee queue at the event and you meet somebody and you start having a chat about the speaker you just heard on stage, and you have a conversation around it and you think, oh, I really like this person, I'm going to connect with them on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the same thing. So if you are on LinkedIn and you see a post by somebody that you really admire, have a look at the people who are commenting underneath that. Check out their headlines. Do they look like somebody? Does their comment sound interesting to you? Has it sparked a bit of curiosity from you about who they are and what they do? Then look at their headline. Are they potential clients or potential connections for you? And if they are, then send them a connection request. When they accept it, you can tell them that you met them through the comments they had shared under this other speaker's posts, and suddenly a conversation starts to happen. What happens when you have conversations with people? It leads to business. Remember, this is a business networking platform. So yes, you could have conversations about the stunning shoes that person was wearing on stage. But is that going to lead to business for you? Only if you are a shoe salesperson. So do focus on the business angle. And the easiest way to do this is just to ask other people about themselves and what they're doing. Maybe they have a podcast, maybe they have a YouTube channel, maybe they mentioned a book that they enjoyed, or you can ask them something like that. But keep it conversational. And if you're thinking, well, Louise, I don't really know what to ask them, take yourself off of LinkedIn for a minute in your head and think, if I just met this person at a conference or a networking event, what would I ask them? And what would our conversation look like? That is how you should approach LinkedIn, like a real person. And that is going to have the most success for you on LinkedIn, because who doesn't want to have proper conversations with people? I know I certainly do. What do you post on LinkedIn? Your content. This is your next pillar. What is your content? The best way to start a conversation with somebody is to ask a question. So for example, I could create a post that talks about Creator Day. What did you learn about Creator Day? I could say. So my post could literally be, just partaked in Creator Day, hosted by the wonderful Matt Hughes, some fantastic talks. I got to speak about how to use LinkedIn for real people. And I'm wondering, did you attend any of the events for Creator Day? If so, what was your favorite? So you could just say, I created a talk for Matt Hughes for Creator Day today, and I talked about LinkedIn for real people, and that could be the end of my post. Well, people might click like on that, but until you ask a question at the end of that, you're less likely to get people actually commenting in the comments. So just think about, how can I spark a conversation here? But remember, bring it back to business. So what do you post about? Conversation starting posts that relate to you, your business, your products, and your services. Think about what questions people have about your products and services. How long does it take to get success on LinkedIn? How can I update my profile? What's the quickest way to update my profile? How do we use video on LinkedIn? There are so many questions that people ask me about using LinkedIn, and every single one of them can become a post that I can write about on LinkedIn to help others to showcase my knowledge of how to use LinkedIn. There are so many different kinds of formats of posts that you can use on LinkedIn, and I do recommend you mix them up. Video is one of our favorites. We do a lot of video content for our clients. It's a lovely piece of work to do with a client. I ask them the questions, they answer them, and then we take their answers and chop them up into short videos and post on LinkedIn along with a LinkedIn post. Clients love it. I love doing it. I get to know more about my clients, get to pull their personalities out of them, and they're getting great visibility on LinkedIn. So highly recommend you check out video posts on LinkedIn. Of course, if you're in the US, there's a new video short form piece coming to LinkedIn that looks kind of like LinkedIn Stories / TikTok. We don't have it outside of America yet. And sadly, Android users don't have it at all. So I don't know how that'll be until I get my hands on it. But always worth keeping an eye on what is coming out for different kinds of content across all social media. Polls are a fabulous tool on LinkedIn and really easy, A, to create, and B, for your audience to interact with. Using a poll to ask your audience about what it is they want to know about a particular product or service that you have is a brilliant way to get information from your clients, your target audience, about what you actually can create content about. It's a bit meta, but it does work. So I could say, what are your top issues with using LinkedIn for business? And people might say, coming up with ideas for content, using video on LinkedIn. Well, I'm going to give them the options, and then the one that gets the most votes, I can then create content around. So really think about how you can use polls really strategically to help you drive forward the rest of your content creation. Images, still a fantastic tool on LinkedIn. Social Insider recently did a LinkedIn report and said that multi-image posts are the most successful posts on company pages. And that's when you put in multiple images on your posts, because people click through each time and they want to look at the next post. Now, we also use carousel posts very successfully for our clients. Those are when you upload a PDF or document post. A multi-image post is different to that, but basically by having your audience member click through each of the screens drives engagement and kickstarts the algorithm, and it gets shown to more people. Articles and newsletters. I'm such a fan of newsletters. I've been a big fan of them ever since the start, and our clients find them really successful in terms of driving new leads in business. So when someone signs up for your newsletter, they not only subscribe to it on LinkedIn, but they actually receive a copy of it into their email inbox. So it's a very powerful tool. If you are going to do articles and newsletters, make sure you have really good formatting, lots of white space, lots of short paragraphs. I recommend you put an image for every fourth short paragraph to break it up, so it's easy for people to digest and people really get a lot out of them. I'm currently doing a weekly newsletter. It goes out every Sunday morning, and it's actually the format that it's forming my book that I'm writing that's coming out next year. Is basically you can read it week by week through the newsletter. Why don't you try that and tag me and see how it goes. Events are a really brilliant way of getting people to register for like a free webinar or talk you're going to do on LinkedIn. If you do this on your company page, you also get the person's full email contact details as well. You do need to have a privacy policy on your company's website to do this, but it's a great way of getting more people's contact details to join your newsletter by using events on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn audio. LinkedIn audios are really fun. I really enjoy doing them. They cannot be recorded, so unless you're there live, you can't catch up with it later, but they are a fun way of engaging with your audience. When do you post on LinkedIn? How long is a piece of string? We tend to find mid-mornings, midweek work really well for LinkedIn. But of course it depends on who your target audience are, what time zone they're in, when they're on the platform. So I say, try these things out and test them yourselves. And try everything for 90 days and see whether or not it's going to work for me. So test things out and measure the data and track it. Building relationships on LinkedIn. How does this work? In the messaging inbox. So remember we were talking about having conversations with people. So you can have conversations out in the newsfeed where you respond to somebody once or twice. But once you get into sending private messages to somebody and there's a back and forth conversation happening, that is when you're starting to really build those relationships with people. And usually that is where you get the opportunity to say, would you like to take this conversation to a Zoom call, or could I send you some literature that explains this further? And it's a brilliant way of building on relationships and generating more leads for you in business. The old way of using LinkedIn is to just send connection requests and hand over your business cards. The new way is to build a network of value, connecting with people and having conversations rather than just swapping business cards. Tips on posting on LinkedIn are before you post, during your post and after your post. So before you post anything on LinkedIn, comment on other people's posts. This actually, if you can comment on 3 or 4 other posts before your post goes live, your post gets given more visibility in the LinkedIn algorithm. During your post, remember you want to ask questions so that people respond and leave comments. And after you post, you've got a 1 hour window called the golden hour. And you can respond to people during that hour. If they start commenting on your posts and you start to respond, that is when your posts start to take off and fly. You're basically training the algorithm. You're sharing content. Before you post, you're showing the LinkedIn algorithm that you're active. Then your post comes out, people start to comment on it, and you respond to them. LinkedIn will start to show your content to more of those people because it sees that they're interested in them. And also, when you're commenting on other people's posts, LinkedIn will show you more of that person's content as well. So you can really train the algorithm to show you what you want to see on LinkedIn. Don't forget to back the whole thing up with your LinkedIn company page. Remember, we're at the conference. You and I are walking around as personal profiles. Someone who becomes interested in what your business does and your products and services will be heading to your company page to check that out. So make sure that your about section and your posts reflect what it is that your company does. And you have, of course, the link through to your website as well there. So back it up by the activity on your page. Hopefully these tips will help you to start enjoying using LinkedIn. It is a brilliant platform when you dip your toe in the water and start to build a network of value and post conversation starting posts on the platform. That is how you get leads and sales as a result. One more little tip is make it easy for people to buy from you. You're doing all this work, you're building your network, you're sharing content, you're having conversations, people are going to your profile. Use the featured section to make it easy for people to buy from you. So at the moment on my profile, you will see a link to the VIP sessions that we do, which are my one-to-one trainings. You will see a link to my speaker page, and you will see a link to my inquiry form. So that it's easy for people to click on any one of those things and get in touch to think at buying with me. The way LinkedIn works is by building relationships first, and then you get to move the conversations to buying your products and services. Hope you're having a fantastic creator day. Please come and connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Louise Brogan, or you can check out all of my training over on YouTube. And it's LinkedIn with Louise, and there's also a podcast of the same name. Thanks, guys.